Hello, and I'm back in the forest, and today we're going to have a look at treatments for depression. Now, depression is a problem that I see so much in my clinic. Most people come for a combination of anxiety, insomnia and depression is often one of the big ones. According to the World Health Organization, there are approximately 264 million people in the world who have symptoms of depression. It's a major problem that affects so many people. Of these people, between 76 and 85% of lower to middle income people have absolutely no treatments for their depressive symptoms, which increases mental health and suicide rates around the world. This is something I've been treating for a long time in my clinic. And certainly in terms of gua sha, you can do so much for the symptoms of depression. So everyone has a totally unique expression of their depression because we are all unique beings with our own problems and our own lives and our own history to create what is in front of you right now. But in terms of Chinese medicine and gua sha, we can see normally that there's some kind of obstruction involved in some way with the depressive feelings, and quite often there's a lack of movement within the chest area of the heart, but more often than not, in terms of Chinese medicine, it's in the lower part where the liver is, and it's the liver storage system and the liver circulation which is causing a lack of movement within the body. So if we think about how things breathe, everything breathes. In other words, everything expands and contracts, and your tissue should expand and contract as the flow of blood comes through it. And if it doesn't do that properly, it gets stuck. And this is often the problem with depression, in that the emotions which normally flow from one to the other, depressive feelings are absolutely normal. I mean, what happened during COVID-19, if you were depressed, that's normal. I was depressed. I do get depressed as well. And it's a normal human emotion. But the problem with depression is when it doesn't move on and you get stuck in this basically obstruction in the body. So we can see depression as a problem in the mind, but we can also see it as a problem with the whole body. And if you can change that obstruction within the body, then the circulation will then change everything else. And you can then move beyond the depressive feelings. So this is what we're going to have a look at now. We're going to have a look at a combination of treatments to treat depression. Now, there are all kinds of things you can do with gua sha for depression. Each person that comes in my door, they're totally unique, and if I find that I'm repeating the same treatment on everyone, then I've got a problem because I'm not treating that person. And so in terms of gua sha, to treat depression, we've got to think of what's the problem in the person in front of you. And so each treatment might be different. But there are certain things which we can use which may be in common amongst lots of people who have depressive feelings. These techniques might not work on everyone because everyone's different. Some of them might work, all of them might work. It's very, very important to have a whole range of things that you can do with gua sha so that you can apply different techniques at different times on different people, and so you're not repeating the same thing over and over like a protocol that doesn't change, which unfortunately is what lots of people think is Chinese medicine. So let's start off with some holographic gua sha. Now, holographic gua sha is a type of gua sha which is treating one part of the body in order to treat another part. And this is based on the idea of there are microsystems in different areas of the body. The most common microsystems that you might have come across would be those on the feet, which people use as reflexology, and on the ear, and that's very common to be used within acupuncture and acupressure. And basically the idea is if you were to treat certain areas on your ear or on your feet, they will have a knock-on effect inside the body to change things. As to how it works, well, that depends on which perspective you're coming from. Okay, let's start with the scalp. Now, the scalp is a fundamental part of holographic gua sha, and it has a very, very long history of treatments on the scalp, certainly in acupuncture. And if we have a look at the oldest text that exists, the Huangdi Neijing, and it was talking about the top of your head. There were the water shu regions, and these were about 25 points spread in columns and rows right at the top of your head. So even at that time, when we're looking about 2,000 years ago, they realized that treating your scalp will affect your body. And so with holographic scalp gua sha, the head can be divided into different zones, and if we can treat those zones, we can affect the body. So let's have a look at the zones we need to affect the changes we need to release obstructions, which are very common in people who've got depressive feelings. So if we have a look at zone 1, first of all, zone 1, if we draw a line right in the middle of your face and come to where your hairline is, zone 1 is right there in the middle. Now, if you don't have hair, it's okay. You just imagine where your hair would have been, and that will be the area. So that will be zone 1. It's about 2 centimeters wide and 2 centimeters back from the hairline. So in my case, it's somewhere there. And as far as treatment goes, you put the tool on the area and you move the tool backwards and forwards, so you're actually moving the different layers of the scalp, but you're not actually moving the tool away from that area. And it's a very kind of slightly harsh treatment, because it's much faster than a normal gua sha, and I'm doing it now if you can see it. It's much faster than normal gua sha, and you're putting a little bit of pressure, but you can't put too much pressure because there's just not the tissue underneath. So that'll be zone 1. Now zone 1 affects your head, your face and your throat. And then we're going to go across, which is either side. So we've got zone 9, 10 and 11. And these are connected with the different areas of your body here. So if we come directly across, so remember, zone 1 is like 2 centimeters. Then from there, you come across 2 centimeters. But we can line it up with the eyes. So the inner canthus, the inner part of your eye, if we drew a line going up there, that will be zone 9. And then if you look straight ahead and the middle of your pupil goes straight up, that's zone 10. And then on the outer canthus of your eye, so where your eye finishes, goes straight up, and that's zone 11. So it's not too complicated to find. And now zone 9 is connected with your chest. Zone 10 is connected with your digestive organs. So that will be your stomach, your liver, your pancreas, kind of just below the rib cage, those organs there. And then the next zone, which is zone 11, that's connected with the lower organs, and especially the urinary system, and so the kidney and the bladder. So these points can all be done the same way as I did 1. So you put the tool on, I call it vibrate. You vibrate the tool and then move on and vibrate it, and then move on and vibrate it. And you can cover them all with a standard movement, which I cover in facial gua sha, or also normal gua sha, where you're scraping over this area, because you can cover all of them. Now, there are many other areas on your head, and it's always a good thing if you find any sore bits when you're looking over the head to treat those as well. But certainly these areas are the ones that really affect the body in terms of this obstruction that I'm talking about. Incidentally, if you're doing zone 10, you might feel slightly nauseous. Don't worry, it's perfectly normal. And that's the effect on your digestive system.